Hello everyone, my name is Tendai Mudunge, based here in St. John's, Newfoundland. I've been living here for the past 8 years. I moved here in 2012, but in 2016 something special happened. I got exposed to the Bachata for the first time, and it was in Vancouver at the time, and I've gone on to invest a lot of time, a lot of effort in learning the dance, understanding the mechanics, and understanding how you can share that experience to other people. So today you have the privilege. I'm going to present a show to you, Bachata is Taking Over. So this segment is sponsored by ArtsNL. It's part of their fund for art in a time of COVID. So we'll be doing the dance component of that grant. We have 45 minutes of action-packed awesomeness prepared for you to enjoy right in the comfort of your home through your device. So the show itself is titled Bachata is Taking Over. So the first question I would answer is, what is Bachata? What are the things you get from dancing this dance? Where can you access this dance to learn more, explore more, to more? Because there's only so much I can do in this video. I'll also give you something to learn at home. So it'll be a small mini routine that I've prepared. Just walks through the basics and everything that you get as you are working through the dance. And then you're going to get to see me teaching some of my students, and we have a few featured guests from around the world, from USA, from Canada, and from Mexico too, and they're just going to be talking about some of the issues that come with Bachata, some of the things you benefit from the dance, the different styles of Bachata. So sit back, relax, and let's have some fun. So the first question I'll start with, what is Bachata?
With Bachata, because Bachata is sentimiento. It's about feeling. It's about romance. Sometimes, bad romance, depending on the song.
But itself, it's a dance that is, I would say, it's fairly easy to learn. So some people dance it socially. They just learn enough to be comfortable to work through a song. And some people actually learn routines. They do choreography. They go on to perform.
It's always important to be in the culture. So to understand what is the genre of Bachata and just to share that. After you dance and you interpret it the way you want, yes? But the idea is to spread and to come back to the roots, yeah, of the style.
So then,
the art of dance, it's really something in process, yeah? It comes from the music, it comes from the body, comes from everywhere, from the heart, from the soul.
So what I'm going to do today is mostly towards the social dancing part. So I'll show you something that you can do by yourself at home, or that you can just do to any music. And then I'll also show that now we're supposed to be in our bubbles, we're supposed to be social distancing as much as possible. But I also have a component in this show where you actually see the dance now danced in partner work. So that's the fun part for most people. That's the enjoyable part, because now you're not just dancing by yourself, you're actually communicating with someone as you're working through the routine. You're like working together as a team, and there's just a magical part to that feeling.
So there are many styles of Bachata. It started from Dominican Republic as a we call that the traditional styles, usually a little more footwork, more happy songs, like most of the time, won't say all, and then it evolved into modern style, and then recently the sensual style, it was created from Spain by Jorge and Judith, and they fusion, as we talked about fusioning different styles, right? So a big, I guess, influence of this new style is from souk, and souk is a style where there's a lot of body movement and a lot of lead and following. So the leader should be able to do like a small lead, maybe just like push you over a little bit, and then the girl has to go through those motions of being moved, right? So that aspect of lead and following and just lots of body movement versus a lot of footwork, that's, I guess, that distinguish sensual bachata and the other styles, the music are usually much slower to allow you to go through that body movement very slowly and intricately. So yeah, and it's usually sensual, very romantic, very nice, like slow songs. So yeah, definitely love that.
No, it's so myself, my journey in bachata started in 2015, 2016. I was in Vancouver at the time. I was living there for 4 months, just looking for something to do one day. And then I ended up at this studio it was actually in downtown Vancouver at the time. So I just saw the class, it was salsa at the time. I did the class, and slowly I just started to explore more of the dance, just dance with more people. It's like a lifelong learning process. Even myself, now I've been dancing for almost 5 years. There's always something come up, there's always something to learn. So I find the more I've traveled in different places, interacted with different people, there's always something that comes up that I learned from someone. And then in 2 years ago, I started my own dancing company. So it's called Chabula. So like I said, the dancing is now, bachata is now all over the world, including here in St. John's. And there's many other people besides me who also teach the dance. But myself, what I try to focus more is, I try to focus on the average person. Someone who's like me, who's just looking for something to do. So that I give you an option for something that you can do. So the way I always do my classes, they're always all levels. I always cater to different levels. I try to sequence my classes in 1 hour sections. So when I do 1 hour sessions that way, I can get 3 or 4 things that people can learn. And within those 3 or 4 things, I always pick something for people who are getting started. We always get for something that's people getting advanced, but I just stop it from being repetitive that way. So now that we know there's different styles of bachata, there's the Dominican bachata, there's the sensual bachata, and people dance it for many reasons. And there's a lot of things that are gained from the process of investing your time in learning this dance. So one thing that I enjoy myself personally is just the creative process of, be it like I'm preparing for a class, be it I'm dancing with people socially, just to get the idea of to say, this is what I'm thinking of doing, just giving it a try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So right now I'm just going to show you behind the scenes of the process that I would do myself. So it's more like a rehearsal. I'm planning to teach a class for some of my students for August. So now we're in the time of the pandemic, we can't really partner dance, but this one is more like a routine for people to do. It takes a few elements from the Dominican, it takes elements from the sensual bachata, and it also includes the musicality of the dance. That way people get the full experience. That's one thing that I always try to focus on. So when you do a class, I actually stick to 1 hour. I try to teach maybe 3 to 4 things for people to do. And then in those 3 to 4 things, they can get the different elements. Because I know I can't teach people in one day. And then as part of trying to grow the dance, I have to make sure that my content is open to all levels, it's open to everyone. So I'm just going to show you. So for me, I'm always thinking, like, I always look at what I did in the past, what worked, what didn't work, and I also try to reflect to people who teach me to see these are the things that worked when they were teaching me. And I try to always also challenge myself too, because I have to learn from my students also, to learn to see this is what they're getting out of the process, what is working, what is not working, and that just comes with time. So this routine itself is it's a mixture of the 2 styles. So usually every song, when it starts with a slow part. So during the slow part or the introductory part, you tend not to dance too quickly. You just so the counts are still 1 to 8, but rather than counting it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you tend to slow the counts down based on your movement. So for example, if I give an example, the song that we're going to use today is by DJ Soltrix. It's called Promises. So when the song starts, it's very slow, like this, like the romantic part. I know we talked bachata is about romance, bachata is sentimental. So during the slow part, we'll just start nice and easy. We'll start going side to side. So we'll do our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But one thing that I try to challenge people early on is try to get the arms working too, because that's how you add flavor. That's how your dance looks nice. Because you don't want to be just dancing with your feet. You want to be using as many muscles as you can, your brain, everything. So the quicker, the earlier we can do that, the more we build those muscle memory. So the first part, what we're going to do, we call this contra body movement. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to get the opposite arm and the opposite leg to move in the same direction. So I'm going to start with my left leg for myself. So I'll have my left arm just by my waist level here. So the first count it will start like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I do from the side, you're going to pay attention how my arm is straight. And what I also try to do, what I encourage people to do, you want to add a bit of drama to your dance. So rather than just moving the arm one way, you're also following the arm using your head too. So that way it would look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the more wrists you can add early on, the better it looks. That's how everyone is different, because not everyone can dance the same. So if I do it one more time, just the first part, it would look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can even add flavor to it. So you see how I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That way you can mix it up. So when it comes to like arm styling, sometimes like it works both ways. So sometimes when you're learning something, you're trying to build your confidence. So you want sort of a routine that you can repeat, but eventually that becomes boring and you want to try something different. So now that we have our first part out of the way, at some point the music is going to start. So when the music starts, that's the time for us to groove to music. So one thing that I like to focus on early on, because I found when people were teaching me, they didn't focus a lot on this other part, is the musicality. So when it comes to musicality, you have the option of slowing down the dance, you have the option of dancing to your regular tempo of 8 counts, or you have the option to speed up the dance, and you have the option to speed it up very quickly. And then there's also breaks too. So that part, it's not consistent. It's up to what the musician is thinking at the time. Both the musicians too, they are trying to make the songs different. That way they give their audience something different, a different feel all the time. So essentially the dancers will need the music and the musicians need us. So it's like we're playing together there. So we just start once the music starts. So we start with our first tempo, so with 8 counts. So for the first 8 counts, we are doing 8 things. So that's our first basic. So the first basic, so when you walk, you want to be nice and stretched. But when you dance, you want to get shorter. Because the second you get shorter, that's how you get your hips to play around. You actually get your hips to play around by moving your knees up and down. So let's start with our first basic. So the second thing, our arms. Usually I like to start, our arms, they come with time. You can do more fancy stuff and you can do nice pretty things. But for a start today, let's start easy. So the arms are going to keep the most level here. So our first basic, we'll do it as a box. So I usually like this one, but sometimes when I get classes, we get people who are dancing for the first time. So we want to start like a common base for everyone, and then we make it fancy afterwards. But we want to start like at a nice common level for everyone. So the first basic would look like this. So it would look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is just the first basic. So if I do it from the side with the arms too. So we said nice and slow. We said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then when we start, that's when we do our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's just our first 8 counts. So the next 8, we're going to do something a bit challenging there. So instead of doing, so with 8 counts, 4 counts, usually we're making 4 counts at a time. So rather than doing 4 things in 4 counts, we're going to add an extra step there. So the people would call those the syncopated steps. So that way between 2 steps you do something different, and that way you can do your 5 things in 4 counts. So it would look like, so you see how I did my 1, 2, we do a kick here, and then instead of doing 3, we do like an end here, and then we step to the side 3, and then we close on 4. So the whole thing would look like this. So it would look like 1, 2, and 3, 4. And then for the next one now, this is our second challenge. So we said we can slow it down, or we can move it quickly. That's how you add flavor to your dance. So the way we do this one, I like this one. Someone told me this and I like it. I find it's a good way to play around when you dance. So usually I try to teach people to do the body roll early on. So the body roll, people know it, this one. But what we're going to do, we're going to do a body roll, and then we're going to do like shake. We're going to do like a syncopated step. So the 5 is our same way we prepare for a body roll. So we do our 5. But instead of doing 6, 7, 8, we just start shaking from side to side, and then we come back and close here. So one thing that I want you to notice when I do it from the side, you notice how when I push to the side, see how if you are like upright, there's no drama there. But if you push to the side and you lean forward a little bit, so for your arms for now, I'm just going to bring them here, and then you get more control this way, and then it just adds flavor to your dance. So if I do the next full thing together, it would look like, so we said 1, 2, and 3, 4, and then you see how I push to the side, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's our first set of 8 there. So you notice how as I'm teaching people here, we've done our slow part, easy stuff for everyone to start, and then I'm challenging people that way. And I find that's how I get to keep my classes open to everyone. 8 you come to tap. So one thing I always tell people with music, so if you respect the 1 and the 5, everything else can be a gray area. But as long as you're hitting your 1 and your 5, it means it's clear where you start. And even if everything is shaky in between, but you can at least don't compromise on the 1 and the 5. That's tip for the day. So if I do the whole thing, it looks like this. So it would look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the challenge. So we'll do our 1, 2, and 3, 4, and then you do your 5, 6, 7, 8. But then when we're going to let me do it from the other side. So if I do it from the back, so I'm starting with this one again. So you see how I do my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and then you do your 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you close. So when you do this part here, just try to like lean a little forward a little bit, and the movements, they don't have to be too big. So essentially that's the difference between like the top dancers and people who are still learning, is the control. So anyone can do this, but what you're trying to do, you're just trying to isolate this part. So you see how by leaning, so the smaller the movement, the easier it is to control, and then you come back to close. So we're going to do this. So the breaks, so you have 3 options, so that you can before I finish, just to go back again. So when it comes to musicality, say that you can slow the music down, you can go faster than the music, or you can do the syncopated steps, but as long as within the 1 to 8. So this takes time. For me, sometimes I know the song, sometimes it just comes through practice, sometimes you just get excited, and some songs are faster, some songs are slower. And then the other thing that comes with the musicality, sometimes you get breaks. So when you do this for the second time, so rather than doing our finish this way, we're going to hit a break. So for the break, you get like a pause in the music for 4. So your challenge is just to try to do something dramatic for those 8 counts, and then we start again. So if I do the whole thing, the first one, and the break for the second one, so the first cycle, it would look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, and 2, 3, 4, and then I do my 5, 6, 7, 8, and then when I do the second time, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, and 2, 3, 4, and then this time now the break is going to come, so you can do anything you want dramatic. You can even do like a dab. So anything is fair game, but just to get the idea, just to get it into your mind that you're dancing for the music. So you might be able to do all these things, all the fancy things, you might have all the moves, but it takes a lot of skill to have the discipline to know that I just don't do this because I feel like doing it, but to do it in sync with the music. And at the end of the day, it's social dancing. Most people are trying to enjoy the process, but these are the things that I try to focus in my classes to make sure that everyone gets the full experience. So I'll do it to music, but if you're interested in more of this, you can get in touch with me through my Facebook page, Instagram, or you can even give me my call on my number 709-699-3983. So take care. Hello, is this Bachata calling? I hear Bachata is taking over. Okay, that's alright. Let me go.
Are you drunk enough not to judge what I'm doing? Are you high enough to excuse that I'm ruined? 'Cause I'm ruined. Is it late enough for you to come and stay over?
I always enjoyed the creative process of coming up with a routine, trying it out, and figuring out the different elements, the musicality, the different moves. But what is even more enjoyable is getting to share this routine when we do workshops, when we do classes, because this is where we actually get the chance to make an impact, to bring joy to someone's day. We've been having events and classes for the past 2 years. We've managed to attract a big group. So the process for me every time we do a class is always the first important thing, since I understand the subject very well and I've invested in a lot of time in learning it, dancing it. So I have to find a way to try to simplify it so that everyone in our class gets what you're trying to teach, what you're trying to do for that day. So that involves me being very organized, giving a good grip on what I want to teach, and also trying to figure out the things that might trouble people and find ways and tricks to make that part repetitive, but also keep people engaged as we are doing it. And then the second part, I used to have a challenge with this when I started. Sometimes suppose I get to see something and I get to prepare it for a long time. So for me, it might take longer once we actually start teaching it. So I tend to end up breaking it. So sometimes I would have the routine, we slowly build it up. And I try to pick maybe 3 or 4 things. So the focus with this routine was definitely getting people to get to see the transitions between the slow part and the start, and when the music speeds up after the first 8 counts. And then the second big thing was just to get people enjoy simple steps and not necessarily be used to doing, like a lot of people, I remember myself when I started, because the basic one is always going side to side with your 4 counts, and then you come back the other side. So because you do it so often, you can easily fall into that trap of doing that so many times. So that's why I tried to get people started with the box, and it actually turned out to be a very good class. The feedback was very positive, and as always I try to get there before everyone is there, so that I'm set up. At least I always do that for good luck, to always look organized. So that's why I always show up early, practice the routine to music, just to make sure that I'm in my zone and I'm ready to perform at my best. And then once people come, usually our events, they start a little bit late. Everyone tends to take a bit of their time, and then I find usually once we start coming, because I'm teaching at the front, people tend to see what I'm trying to do. It just takes usually a few minutes to get everyone warmed up, to get everyone comfortable, and to feel like no one is watching with them. So that always works better if we have a mirror, because they can see what I'm doing and I can see what they're doing too. But when we did it at Bannerman Park, because of COVID, we have to social distance. There was no mirror there, but it actually turned out to be a good experience too. Everything that I had planned turned out very well. There's a lot of smiles in the class, and everyone is just happy to be dancing again. And that's always the big thing. I think that's what it's all about. Just to be able to go through that process of thinking up of something, making a plan, doing the routine myself, repeating it so many times, and actually getting to bring that to other people to see. And I find over the years, the more we do events, the more we do classes, that's how more people know about the dance, that's how more people get excited about the dance, and just motivates me to even keep doing better. So the things that we have done so far, the sensual bachata and the Dominican bachata routine, that is more like a routine that people would do in a performance, or something that I would teach as warm up to class, or just to get people comfortable dancing by themselves. But what attracts a lot of people to the dance, and what really makes the dance stands out, where the chemistry really comes out, is when you dance with someone else. So the idea between partner work, essentially dancing, you can almost say dancing is, especially dancing bachata, or when you start dancing partner work, you could treat it as a sport. But the thing that's unique with this sport, you're not really competing against another opponent. So in most sports, you'll be trying to compete against someone, or you'll be working as a team with your other teammates to try to beat another team. But when it comes to partner dancing, you're just trying to come together with your partner. So all the time people dance at different levels. Some people are still getting started, some people have more experience. But the whole idea, regardless of your experience, you're just trying to come together. Most songs are between 3 to 5 minutes. So you're just trying to come back between that come together for that 3 to 5 minutes and share this common experience as you work through the movements. So like anything that you do, there's always a technique to everything. So the whole idea with partner work, since you're trying to move together, is one unit. It's very difficult for two people to be making decisions or to be giving directions to say this is what we are doing next, this is what we are doing next. So essentially you get someone who's like a lead and someone who's a follow. So in some of the clips that I'm showing here, these are some of the people that I've danced with in the past, that I've done performances with, some of my students that I teach. In most of the times myself, I dance as the lead. I've been trying to follow more. So when the dance started, or the traditional part, usually the men would lead and the females would follow. But it's now starting to change. Sometimes you see men dancing together, sometimes you see females dancing together, or sometimes you see, especially I find this with people who teach, they do the role play where they switch so that they just get a better understanding of the things that you're looking for, the signals that you're getting. So when it comes to partner work, the way I like to see it myself, because when you are dancing as the lead, so for what I usually do myself, where I'm usually leading, I sort of have an idea in advance of what I'm trying to do. So rather than doing what I feel like doing, this is what I try to get most people to do in class. I find a lot of people that I've danced with in the past to be experienced, or they're still learning, they try to follow this similar template. So ideally you try to find out the comfort level for the person that you're dancing with, and you just work through some of the things that will be considered basics, and then you work towards the more complicated stuff. But as you're doing each and everything, you can see whether the other person likes the certain moves that you're trying to do. So myself, I like dips, I like the sensual bachata, so as you can see from the clips, but not everyone likes it. So I'm not going to be, with the first person that I dance with next time, I'm not going to try a dip right off the bat. So I might try with a small dip, and if I see they're liking it, if I see they don't like it, that's how I choose what I do to do next. And myself, the way I try to style my dancing, I had a background where I danced a lot of kizomba before, and from talking to a lot of people say they find a lot of people to be very rough, and a lot of people to use a lot of force. They feel like when you're dancing with someone, you're like restricted, you can't really do much. But myself, what I try to do, I try to lead more with my eyes, so that if we connect visually, and I also try to position my body so that the person knows what I'm trying to do next. That way I don't have to hold them down with my arms, and that just gives them freedom to make the dance beautiful and to add flavor with their own styling. So that's how I would try to do my dance. But it's not everyone who likes my style. So part of the thing that I try to encourage people to look out for, or when I'm socially dancing myself, so I know my comfort level, what I'm looking to get out of the process. So I try to quickly establish what the other person is trying to get out of the process, and I try to dance within their own style. So when you do classes, when you do workshops, usually do like a mini routine like the one I showed at the start as a warm-up, and then we get people to partner work afterwards. So the way I would do the mini routine, I would try to incorporate steps that are going to use for partner work That way, when I start showing people the partner work part, already they know what to do with their feet. And then we tend to rotate when we do classes. So myself, most of classes that I've gone to, I've never really gone to classes with a partner. So that's one thing I always try to focus on myself, because I know some people come as partners, but I try to get people to switch as much as possible when we're doing classes or when we're doing just social dancing. So the whole idea with social dancing, you just get access to this friendship circle where you're people who like what you're doing, and we all get to share memories on the dance floor. So myself, I started with the partner work in Vancouver in 2015, as I had mentioned earlier. And then I learned a lot in Montreal, Toronto, and even in St. John's, people that I dance with. And since we have a good university here, we actually get a lot of people coming in as exchange students. So Lina, she really taught me a lot of stuff, and she's the first person I was able to dance with consistently at a higher standard. And I found I actually improved just from dancing with them. So I always encourage people to do the same thing. And then, when you start dancing partner work part, so it could be dancing socially, would also be dancing with performances. So some of the clips that I'm showing, we actually did performances in many locations throughout the St. John's. And as I had said, Bachata is taking over. So with each and everything that we do, we always grow from strength to strength. More people get to see how the dance is danced and what you get out of the process. And that's always the big motivation for me, because there's been many positive things that came out from dancing, be it the people that I met, just boosting my own confidence, and just a fun activity, something to do, something that you can always look forward to. So I know myself, when I'm dancing with people, they're investing their trust in me, and I also have to retain that process by being respectful, making sure they have an enjoyable experience. So there's only so much that I can talk about in this show, but if you're interested in learning more of the dance, so we're doing socials, we're doing a lot of events throughout St. John's. Sometimes in the summer we also try to do events outside, and then in the winter, I find that the winter is usually a good time because it's a bit cold outside and there's not as much to do. So we tend to do a lot of events. So we've even brought people to come from as far as Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto. So we usually try to do maybe 4 to 6 big events. That way people get exposed to a high level of dancing, and they can see it from people who are more experienced than me. So people who even taught me. And then just to keep the momentum, so we do the big events, and we do local events here. So we try to, one thing that I'm always thinking about, how can we reach out to more people, and how can we get more people outside my social circle to see the dance. So that's why we've done events at places like the farmers market. We managed to do one at the rooms just before the pandemic. So that one was really good because it was in a place where the people could see the dance, just the common person, they see it at a high level. We also did a few events at the university too. So those ones would be really good because the university is one place with high density of people in one location. And we're also trying to reach out to other dance groups like the Lindy Hop group. So we actually did a good Lindy Charter with them. So we'd have a bit of Lindy Hop, and we'd also have Bachata. So like everything, there's always two sides to everything. So the thing that I focused more is the benefits to the dance, what you get out of the process, how you can dance it by yourself and in partner work. But then there's also been other issues that have been coming up of late with Bachata, just beyond Newfoundland itself, in some of the bigger cities. So we actually have Tania. I took some of her classes and I've gotten to know her. She's a professional dance teacher and performer based in Toronto. So she's going to talk about the difference between the dancing sensual and the sexuality of the dance, because that's one thing that always seems to come up, especially with the growth and more people seeing sensual bachata. So I also have other people like Nicole. She's based in LA. She's also going to talk about what you get out of the dance and some of what really attracted you to the dance. And then to finish off, we're going to finish off with Tara. So she is the dance doctor, and she's also going to talk about the things that people take for granted, but that really stop them from taking their dancing to the next level.
I would say definitely it is an issue nowadays. In fact, there's a lot of I see a lot of comments and on Facebook, on social media about exactly this. So the thing is, when I teach sensual bachata, I really focus on what the actual lead and following is. And if you actually learn it properly, there's not a lot of gripping. Like I even tell for the guys, like for example, you shouldn't be holding your full hand on her. There's no need for it. Sometimes if you need to tell her to move, all you need is a thumb or maybe one finger. Like you push and she's supposed to go. Like you don't have to like hold on to her and like shake her and move her. That's not the idea. The idea is the leader is guiding or suggesting movements, and then as a follower, I have the choice to do it or not do it. If you want to push me to one side, you're like, okay, go that way. And if I, as a follower, don't want to go, well, I don't want to go, and I don't go, right? So it shouldn't be like forced, right? And a lot of the leading and following should be done very respectfully. There's nothing about sensual bachata. Sensual bachata to me is about the music and how the connection comes from the leader being able to suggest the move and the follower able to follow, right? So that's the connection, right? Like I tell you to do something, it's like a psychic. I'm going to tell you to do something now, and somehow you know how to respond to it. That's the beauty of it, and it connects with the music. It's not about forcing you to uncomfortable positions, and definitely not about like gripping, like there's no space between us. And in fact, a lot of I wish I can like demonstrate right now. Yeah. So if you're like if you want to lead an isolation, let's say if you want the girl to be, I'm gonna stand up, show you. If you want a girl to do like a move like this, right? Yes. To move the rib cage, you don't hold on to her and like shake like this. And if I'm going so close, if I'm hugging my partner like this, so then how can the girl go forward? There's no room, right? Then her movement's gonna be like this. So there has to be room between you and your partner. There's always room.
There has to be space for Jesus.
Make all that movement, right? Yes. But then when you see people dancing in social, maybe like either they haven't learned it properly, maybe they learned it from YouTube, and YouTube sometimes you miss out some. Not saying that you're not watching the right YouTube, it's just sometimes you miss out the details and the technique, right? So there should be space between you and your partner to even execute half of these moves. So then when you're like so close with your partner, then it sometimes becomes sexual, right? So that's where I think people are not learning the moves properly. They're not leading it properly. They're not following it properly. A lot of my beginner students, they go out like dancing for the first time, and they come back and they're like, why is everyone like so close to me? I said, don't let them be so close to you if you're not comfortable, right? As a follower, you have the choice to follow or not. You're not being like, it's not like, oh, they squeeze you so close, you can defend, right? You can like push them a little further away. And as a leader, you should understand, okay, she's not comfortable, I'm gonna stay a little further away, right? So this is like a two-way street. So it shouldn't get to a part where it's sexual. Sexual should go back, like if you want to dance sexual bachata, it should be in your bedroom or somewhere, not on a dance floor. I don't like, even if you're with your dance partner, like even if you're with your lifetime partner, if you're dancing with your life partner, when you're on the dance floor, it should still stay within the realm of like how sensual bachata should be, right? Yes. And I think sometimes like people watch so much YouTube, like there's so many YouTubes available, and most of the bachata sensual artists, they are life partners, right? So then of course they can do something than others, but then like the viewers don't necessarily relate that, oh, they're boy girlfriends, so that's fine, or even husband and wife. They don't think that. They just think, oh, that's sensual bachata. I'm gonna do this on the dance floor with the next girl I'm dancing with, so that's not right. So I think it's very important for teachers, especially, because we have the chance to talk to a big audience. We have the, I guess, responsibility to really let people know that the real difference between sexual bachata and sensual bachata, and not make it go that way, because it becomes uncomfortable for everyone going social dancing, and you don't want that. Because I'm looking for the sensual experience, for the connection, the movement, the music, the connection, nothing sexual, right?
I think a lot of people learn steps and they learn styling, and they worry a lot about their own dancing, which is important. It's very important. But the thing that I really harp on in my classes, and that's really important to me, is connecting to your partner, especially in social dancing, because everybody's a little bit different. And so I really feel like that sensitivity in the connection, in the lead and the follow, is super important in being able to enjoy yourself and express yourself while you're dancing. Because I always say I teach a lot of couples, and I'm like, if you're not going to connect to one another, you might as well just dance by yourself, That's looking at both, visually connecting, physically connecting. And so I do a lot of I teach a lot about that, kind of developing that sensitivity to be able to successfully dance as a couple dance, because I feel that dancing is just one of the most joyful things that you can do. And I think, if there were more joyful people in the world would be a better place. And I think dancing is a great way to achieve that. And I know a lot of people get into their head, a lot of them from a young age, that they can't dance, or they're not good at dancing, or they shouldn't dance for whatever reason. And I think that the special thing that I bring is being able to break things down and impart information in a way that makes everybody feel like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Definitely.
And
my dad was my very first dance partner, and I loved dancing with him. And I've always danced, and I looked for a way to actually dance out at the nightclubs. When you go to Hollywood, they have a lot of clubs, but I wouldn't call any of that dancing. And when I found salsa, it opened up my eyes to, wow, this is where people actually go to dance, not just to hit on people, not to get as many numbers as you can or go home with somebody. People were really there to enjoy the dance. And at the end of the song, when I danced my first dance, at the end of the song, I remember my partner just said, "Thank you," and walked away, and I almost had my jaw on the floor. I was like, wait, you're not gonna ask me for my number or ask to buy me a drink? This is amazing. And from then I was hooked. I don't think I went back to the Hollywood clubs after that, not even once.
Be it in the short term or the long term, what is it that people actually gain from this experience of learning bachata, salsa, and developing their skills?
Well, I think the more obvious ones are a healthy habit. So you have something to do every night of the week. At least in LA, we have dancing 7 nights a week. And you know that you can go and have a good sweat and socialize. And even though in the pandemic, that sounds terrifying, before the pandemic, it was very much welcome and a healthy practice, right? So you get exercise, you get a friendship circle. You're going to see a lot of the same faces over and over again when you go dancing, because it takes time to learn. So you will make friends, and it's kind of like built into the bigger picture, which I think is a really beautiful thing. And then something that I realized later is that you're learning a language that you can take anywhere in the world. So I've had the good fortune to dance in Croatia and Italy and Spain, and France, and I don't know French, but I understand salsa. And when I go to a club and I dance with people from France, I have an instant connection with them that I would not have expected as a tourist. So it's this really big global picture and community that you get to be a part of. That's a special bonus that I only realized later in life.